No! No! I literally just flashed 5 times and it's clock. Oh! Oh! Brakes! 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 Oh no! Squeeze! Squeeze!
Have you ever experienced the person you've been in love with for 2 years apologizing for how they neglected you and underappreciated you? Yeah, that happened to me, but then I woke up. Very disappointing. And that leads me to this week's topic of discussion, the Roblox version of Left 4 Dead, Left to Die. Left to Die is a pretty neat game on the surface, with its base framework being very impressive for a small dev team. But at the end of the day, the finished project is a lot like my dream that I talked about just now. It might be too good to be true. Left to Die was created in 2020, or at least the overhaul was, I guess. And since then, it's gotten content added at the speed of the old lady in front of you in the line at your local CVS. The problem lies not in the game's content, in fact it's pretty good for the most part. It lies in another factor that I feel like most zombie games fall into nowadays. Games like The Undead Coming and Dead Slate seem to fall in all too easily, actually. Money. Left to Die is one of those games where you feel as if it's a high-risk, low-reward situation. The updates generally take a lot of time and work in order to get right, but the game itself seems rather unprofitable. There isn't any Game Pass except spray paint, so there's not really any money going around to fund this project. In terms of the actual gameplay that we have to work with right now, the game is generally solid, I suppose. The survival mode is pretty lackluster, but there is one good thing about it. You can scratch your nuts with your left hand and play the game with your right hand. How do I know this? Just watch the background recording, my friend. Also, this game can run on mobile, which I'm pretty sure the player count jumped up to like the 400s when that update came out. I get a little sense of hope when a game is able to be properly optimized for mobile and it just doesn't put something in the description like, this game cannot run on a potato PC, sorry, we're too lazy to optimize it. Anyways, where was I? The game's main focus is supposedly going to be on the campaign. The main one seems like it has a good amount of potential, so long as the developers are willing to go through with it. The entire campaign premise in itself is a little ambitious overall. I mean, some would even consider it way too ambitious for a Roblox game, as shown by an extremely slow development of the project. You know how I said in that one video that a lot of zombie games on Roblox are based off of Left 4 Dead? Well, Left to Die is, like, really based off of Left 4 Dead. Almost to the point where I wonder if the game could be possibly teetering on the edge of being too derivative. There isn't much to be said about the campaign, really. It's literally Left 4 Dead, but in Roblox. Which might be why this video might seem a little short. There just isn't much to talk about. The first and only level of the campaign has your group recovering from a crashed shipwreck, I think, and then you have to fight your way through a coastal town of zombies, with the climax of your adventure being the daunting task of operating a forklift. The enemies are literally the ones from Left 4 Dead, and I'm assuming the characters are probably going to act just like the characters from Left 4 Dead. The main campaign is alright for a prototype, but the contamination campaign that was created as some sort of filler content just isn't it. I talked about it briefly in my contamination video, but I'll say it again. It's a remake of a 2008 game, but they use the exact same pacing, map, enemy design, and plot as the original. Which, given how Roblox games were constructed back then, it isn't a good thing. It's like telling your 14-year-old dog to do the same tricks that it did 10 years ago. It just isn't going to look pretty to see executed in modern day. The Contamination remake and the whole foundation of the game being simply built off of the premise of it's Left 4 Dead, but in Roblox, really does hurt the game a bit because it brings up the argument that this game doesn't really have any true sense of identity. And with the developers starting to split their time on this other game called Guns and Black Powder, it's become a bit of a worry that the game devs themselves are simply losing interest in their own game. Believe me, I know what losing interest feels like. It hurts. Besides an apparent finished campaign, this game plans to add voice acting for its characters, and every game mode that Left 4 Dead 2 had, which seems like a lot of work, especially developers with lives that are already demanding enough. At the end of the day, it's definitely worth saying that games aren't going to get done without support, whether it's by playing, talking about, or straight up giving money to the developers. But in the meantime, I plan to watch Left to Die with careful optimism. I believe that there is something there to behold. But has something like this ever been done before? I mean, yeah, think of classics like Undead Nation, Reason for Life, Contamination, and Zombie Tower, but all those were like a decade ago. Will Left to Die defy the odds and actually be a finished game? I'll believe it when I see it.